So we finally managed to finish all of this up, which is just an utter mess right now. We've got a ridiculous amount of electrical tubes going into here. This is for our gas. We've got water distribution here, as well as our water inlet and meter here, and then several different drainage lines all converging into this large corrugated tube. We have to do another drainage line, another sewer line here as well, but we'll do that in a little bit later. It's a humid, sweaty day, but we can finally cover all of this up. It's been weeks of everything open and kind of pulling into a little lake every time it rains. But we can finally close it up because very soon Andrea is coming back to finish digging. Remember, this was just phase 1 or phase 2 actually, I think. And we have to close this up before we can continue digging the rest of the way. Alright, so excuse the terrible mess here. We've been using our table as a collection point for all of the materials. But I was making a connection with the tube and the plumbing team was laughing at me for doing it this way. But when you have a section of pipe that doesn't have a connection at the end, it's a little bit, you know, not proper, but you can heat it up and melt it into a connection. But they found it funny. I thought everyone did it. Apparently not. So you buy these tubes in 3-foot section, 1 meter sections, and they come with a connection point on one end and then straight smaller size on the other end. So once you've cut that connection point off, the rest of the tube is usually wasted. So you end up wasting a lot of tubes. But if you just heat it up a little bit, very carefully, you can make a new connection. They were laughing at me. They thought it was funny. I thought everyone did this. And then you can slowly, sometimes you collapse it. There you go. And then as that cools, it'll shrink and it'll hold better than actually glue will hold. Well, we're back at it this morning hooking up the final parts to the in-floor heating. There's just a few tubes to hook up left, and then we need to pressurize the entire system. We have to pressurize all of the lines for two reasons. Number one, we need to make sure that there's no accidental holes in any of the tubes, make sure that all of the connections are tight, to make sure that once we pour the final screed, there's not an accidental leak anywhere in the system. And then secondly, we need to pressurize them and keep them pressurized for when we pour over the final screed. Otherwise, the pressure of the screed itself could actually collapse the tubes. Most likely not, but it's an extra layer of security. You always keep the lines pressurized as you're pouring the screed over top. So we're currently filling up all of these lines and all of the runs with water, and as it fills up with water, all of the air rushes out through these exit points. Questo no, solo questo. All right, so I'm really excited to share with you guys a brand new channel partner. The reason why is because Heather and I have been on a mission for a while now to eat extremely clean. And the thing we're struggling with most is protein. If you aren't aware, most protein bars and protein powders are chock full of processed sugar, vegetable oils, GMO corn, and a long list of other ingredients that you simply can't pronounce. But with Equip's Prime Protein Powder, they are proud of the ingredients that they use, sticking strictly to whole foods and using as little as 3 ingredients. For example, with their chocolate flavor, the only ingredients are grass-fed beef protein, cocoa powder, and stevia extract. And yet, it tastes like a chocolate milkshake. Actually, my favorite way to drink this flavor is in a frozen smoothie. You take 1 banana, a good amount of peanut butter, a little bit of ice, and 1 scoop of the chocolate powder. You blend it all together, and I guarantee you it tastes better than anything you'll be able to get at your local ice cream shop, except there's no added sugar, it uses only healthy ingredients, and it's packed with protein. Now, their iced coffee flavor is where things get a little bit weird for me because somehow they've managed to make it taste just like a sweetened iced coffee from your local coffee shop, except instead of 21 grams of sugar, there's 21 grams of protein and 0 sugar. Oh, and it costs half as much as a typical iced coffee. All right, so one of these is a store-bought iced coffee, and one of them is the Prime Protein iced coffee flavor. Heather has not tried this flavor yet. We're gonna see if she can tell the difference.
I don't know which one is which. They're both good.
The reality is that most of us are not getting the amount of protein that our bodies need, and protein is not just for muscle function. Protein is vital for neurotransmitter function, cognitive function, and our memory. To me, that's personally fascinating because I just finished reading a book on how to lower your risk for cognitive decline and neurodegenerative diseases, and the book was really hammering home, eat more protein, eat more protein, eat more protein. Not to mention that protein helps boost our metabolism, and yes, of course, helps support muscle function. So check out the link in the description below or scan the QR code on screen to try out Equip's Prime Protein. Trust me, you gotta taste it at least 1 time to see what I'm talking about. Well, good morning to what is going to be a very busy and exciting day today as we begin to reclaim the terraces here. Well, the barricades I set up last night really worked to keep the goat out. That goat that is just 2 terraces down right now waiting for me to leave. Anytime I leave, I catch him on the security cameras trying to break into the house and kind of snoop around. And I can't really afford to have him walking around causing trouble with our in-floor heating already installed. You may have noticed here in the background that Andrea has brought his excavator back. And that's because over the next couple of days, we're gonna begin to reclaim the mess that we've created of these terraces. It's been a very long road of digging out all of these stones away from the house, jackhammering up the mountain to make room for the new room. And of course, we did use a lot of those stones in building the actual room itself, but the property is just littered with stones and our terraces are kind of a mess. So today we're beginning the process of cleaning everything up. I spent most of yesterday working here separating out all of the good stones that can be used for flooring. We're gonna use the excavator to kind of rapidly pick up all of the stones and clean up the terraces, and these thinner stones here would have been crushed and broken, so I wanted to make sure I could save as many as possible because I need all of these good stones to make patios out of outside, to make walking paths, things like that, and if I hadn't saved them, they would have been crushed by the excavator. It's a huge process of sorting all of these stones. So these stones here are great for retaining walls. We're putting more stones over here that are good for fences. We have a lot of stone-related building projects ahead of us, so we're trying to save all of this material in an orderly fashion in order to be able to access it. But right now, it's just in the way of everything else that we need to do to build this house. Bit of a tricky problem we're dealing with here as we have an exposed fragile pipe that needs to remain exposed because we need to hook it up, but we need to drive that excavator back and forth over top of it all day. We've opted to fill it with sand, as much sand as we can cram in there, then layer some boards over top of it, and then we'll just have to dig that sand back out once we're finished. Sorting through these stones is not an easy task, but Andre is an absolute maestro with this excavator. If you look closely, you'll see him picking up a bucket full of stones and dirt and using the excavator to sift through that stone, separating out the dirt, moving the stones to one side, taking the dirt and the smaller stones and dumping them down to the terrace below. Then with that terrace below, we will level everything out, bringing it back up to the level that it originally was, as well as flattening everything out. So we'll have two nice flat terraces, the one at the house and the one below.
what it used to look like.
Yeah. I feel like we've had to dig. It feels like we've dug this out several times, but in reality, the first time we were digging out this section here for the new room,
Oh,
and
that's true.
now we have to dig out.
Now it's even further past.
Yeah.
That's true. I didn't think about that. Yeah, the house didn't used to end here.
So now what we have to decide is, do we want to dig, how much of this area over here do we want to dig out? It's hard to tell on camera, but this entire area right here is solid rock. And it'd be really nice to dig back straight in order to have more living area out here.
Really nice.
And to do a nice outdoor kitchen, seating area. That's what I want. I want the outdoor kitchen.
I know. Who cares about anything else as long as we have an outdoor kitchen to sit at, right? No, I agree. I mean, if we could push it all the way back, wow, that would be amazing. It would give us so much space. It would be great. And then we can kind of deal with all that later, the rest of it.
The beauty of this property is being outside, of course, and the dream of having that outdoor kitchen and a beautiful seating area outside is one of the things that has allowed us to push through some of this madness.
Yeah.
And I think to go this far and to have Andrea here with the excavator and feel silly to dig through the mountain again and create more stones.
More things we have to deal with later.
But while he's here and it just takes a few extra hours to do, we might as well do it and not regret it later on. We have such a tremendous amount of stones to use up, but we will use them up, I think. And if we ever have too many, we can always sell them or give them away to other building projects in the area. So I think that's that. We're going to dig out all along there, which I know it's hard to tell on the camera. We're going to build a retaining wall out of stone to kind of match this wall here. And then the decision now is, do we dig the entire terrace down to the level that you're standing on, or allow it to kind of step up closer to the level that the excavator is, a little bit further beyond the kitchen there, in order to keep more material on this level?
I think I kind of like the idea of having it step up because it actually makes the view even a little bit better, up elevated a little bit. I know we had kind of played around with that idea when we were first digging out for the new room, and I think there is something about having some different levels on this one terrace, and if it kind of saves some time and energy, that might be worth it.